Previously on episode 1, Mary felt elated that she had helped her sisters through the trial of Little Hope's lost souls. Without her quick thinking to keep every soul working together, they would have failed. She spent the evening cuddling with her Pokemon before going up to sleep with Billy in her arms. She'd never been praised quite like this before, and it felt good. Knowing how well she did during her own trials in the magical world of Pokemon, she expected her next adventure would go perfectly. When Mary awoke the next day in a strange room, she hardly batted an eye. This had become commonplace at this point in her purgatory. Her younger self stared back at her in the mirror, and she knew it was time to head out on a new journey. She walked downstairs, and her mother smiled at her. "Mary, Billy was just here looking for you. He said you two had plans to explore Lake Verity today. Remember to be careful and watch out for wild Pokemon. Until you have one of your own, it's risky to go into wild areas." "Yes, Mother, of course," Mary promised. "Did Billy say where he was going?" "He told me he'd be waiting for you at the edge of town. Better hurry along now. It's not polite to keep a friend waiting." "I'll set off now. Goodbye, Mother." Mary hurried out the door. The sun was shining, the nearby pond sparkled, and the sign by the gates said Twin Leaf Town. Mary took a deep breath and smiled crookedly. She had missed this world in a way, and now she was in a new region with new adventures right around the corner. In the distance, she heard a boy shouting, "Come on, Mary, we're burning daylight here!" She ran for the voice, then stopped, cold in her tracks, when she saw who it belonged to. "Took you long enough. We said we were going to meet at 8 sharp. Lake Verity might be teeming with tourists by now." Billy?" she stammered. "Yeah? You okay? You look like you've seen a ghastly," Billy told her. It was him. The young man Winifred fell in love with all those years ago. The young man Sarah nearly ran off with. Billy Butcherson stood before her. Earth to Mary? Come in, Mary." "Sorry, I overslept," Mary swallowed. "You said we're going to a lake?" "Did you hit your head or something? We made these plans last night," he chuckled. "We said we were going to scout out Pokemon and see if we could tame one." Right, I remember," she lied. "Let's be on our way." Mary walked right next to Billy as if they'd been long-time friends instead of odd acquaintances. Truth be told, Mary never cared much for Billy, at least not after he had both of her sisters under his charming power. He'd broken Winifred's heart, then stole Sarah's and nearly took her from them. Had she not put a stop to his influence, the youngest Sanderson might have been hauled off and killed during the witch trials. Now, standing with him at the beautiful lake, she had an urge to knock him into the water. Instead, she fought it off and watched the Pokemon scampering, flying, or swimming by. In the distance, another pair was working on something before heading out. Mary noticed they left something behind. "Billy, look over there. Those two people left their satchel." She got her companion's attention. "Oh, so they did. Let's go get it and return it to them. You've got quite the knack for finding people, so it shouldn't be any trouble," he suggested, and she nodded. As they made their way over to what really was a briefcase, Billy accidentally stepped on the tail of a starly. Frightened and angry, it crowed at them and started using a gust attack. The pair held up their hands as the briefcase was blown over and popped open. Inside were 3 Pokeballs. "Hope they don't mind if we use these," Billy exclaimed and grabbed a ball. Mary did the same. She threw hers and out popped a Pokemon. "Whoa! Is that a mythical Fione?" "I suppose so," Mary replied. "It appears to be a water type. Fione, use Bubble!" Fione listened and attacked without hesitation. It knocked the Starly back, but it kept coming. Billy sent out his Pokemon, a Vespiquen who used Attack Order, to send it packing. Billy and Mary high-fived as the pair who'd left the briefcase came running back into the area. "I say, what is all of this? My Pokemon!" the old gentleman barked. "Apologies, sir, but we were attacked by a Starly. We had no choice but to borrow these guys," Billy said. "We were just coming over to return your satchel, honest," Mary explained as Fiona hopped over beside her. "Well, if that's the case, then I'm glad you're both all right. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Professor Rowan, and this is my assistant Lucas. We're Pokemon researchers. Lucas here is my apprentice. Are you two trainers?" "We'd like to be one day," Billy admitted, "but we aren't yet." From what I can tell, if you bested a Starly with a stranger's Pokemon, you're already very skilled. Professor Rowan examined his two Pokemon. It seems Vespiquen and Fione have taken a liking to the both of you. Normally I'd start off new trainers with Chimchar, Piplup, or Turtwig, but given the circumstances, why don't you two keep these Pokemon? Professor Rowan offered, and Lucas looked at him in shock. But sir, even the Fione? It's a mythical Pokemon after all. Can you not see that Fione likes this young lady? He's far warmer with her than the pair of us, the professor replied, and Lucas nodded. Professor Rowan handed the two new trainers Pokédexes. Use these to learn more about your Pokemon. If you wish to go out into the Sinnoh region as trainers, there are many paths to explore. The Pokemon League Gym Challenge, Pokemon Contests, the Battle Frontier, you name it. The sky's the limit with Pokemon at your side. Take care of your partners, and I'm sure we'll meet again. With that, he collected the last ball and briefcase, then led Lucas out of the Lake Verity lakefront. Mary picked up the Fione and decided to name him Poseidon, after the god of the seas. Billy called Vespiquen Vesper. They sat down on the bank and looked out over the water. Gosh, what a morning! We come here to look at Pokemon, and now we've got partners. What are you going to do now that you have Poseidon, Mary? Billy asked. I plan to take on the gym challenge. I want to build an amazing team and try for the championship, she replied, knowing she didn't really have any other choice in the situation. What about you? I don't really know yet. I've thought about becoming a coordinator and performing in contests a few times, but if Vesper doesn't like that, I'm not going to force her into that life. Maybe I'll try a contest and a gym battle and see which path is right for me, he said. Mary fought the urge to roll her eyes. Of course, Billy couldn't make a choice. It was just like with her sisters. Either way, we'd better start for home and explain what happened to our parents. Good idea, she agreed. She carried the bouncy Poseidon with her back to her home in Twinleaf Town. Mary explained what went down at the lake to her mother and introduced her new partner. In this world, it seemed that her mother had once been a coordinator, but retired after getting married. She encouraged Mary to pursue her dream of reaching the Pokemon League and gifted her with a nice satchel and some Pokeballs she'd been saving for this day. Mary slept in the new bed that night, holding Poseidon in her arms. She already loved this little guy, and he seemed to like her too. When she set off on her journey the next day, she caught a Scorpy named Scarab. Up at Lake Verity, she caught a rare Pokemon called Rampardos that she named Skull Slammer. The rock type was surprisingly affectionate. Over past Samjin Town, she caught a Cleffa named Cherub before making it to Jubilife City. She stayed at the Pokemon Center for the night, then met a fisherman the next day who gifted her a fishing rod. Up ahead, she caught Jello the Zigzagoon and then was challenged by a trainer. As soon as the trainer approached her, a deathly chill rose up through Mary's spine. She took out her Pokédex as the trainer sent in a Garchomp. Cursed box. Are the rules for my trial the same as before? She asked hesitantly. Yes. If a Pokemon falls in battle, they die. If you lose all of your Pokemon, you must start over, it informed her. The Garchomp looked as if it was a demon. If this Pokemon has the move Dragon Rage, what are my chances of survival? She asked. She had once owned a Garchomp herself. Chances of survival are 0%. No Pokemon in your party has higher than 40 health points, it said. Arceus, help us, Mary muttered as she sent in Skull Slammer. Garchomp set up a sandstorm, lowered the accuracy of its opponent, and struck with Dragon Rage. Mary watched as Skull Slammer fell dead in front of her. One at a time, Scarab and Jello fell. Then Cherub put up a fight with his cute charm ability, but Garchomp broke through and killed him too. Her last hope was Poseidon. Garchomp was in low yellow health. Poseidon could do it if he was just fast enough. Poseidon charged, but Garchomp moved faster. Dragon Rage struck, and Mary cried out in sorrow. Poseidon fell at her feet. She cradled his body as she began to feel dizzy. Her eyes rolled into the back of her head, and she blacked out for the first time in 4 years. When she awoke, Mary was back in Twinleaf Town. She went downstairs, and her mother told her Billy was waiting for her. Mary spent the entire morning having deja vu as she went through the motions. Her mind was far away as Billy talked her ear off on their way to Lake Verity. She had never failed these trials before. Not once. The closest she came was in the Johto region, but she had managed to pull through even then. Every time she blinked or closed her eyes, she saw the faces of her Pokemon, of Poseidon, crying from pain, and their voices echoed in her ears. She'd let them down. She'd let them die. What sort of partner does that? Earth to Mary. Come in, Mary. Billy snapped her out of it. Did you hear me? Those guys over there left their briefcase. We should probably go return it to them. Oh, yeah, let's do that, she said. Billy looked at her in concern. Hey, are you all right? He asked worriedly. You look like someone kicked a Poochyena in front of you. Yeah, I'm fine, she said. Let's go get the satchel. Everything happened just as before, but she didn't find Poseidon's ball inside the satchel to her dismay. Instead, she was partnered with a Seadra that she named Genu. Genu was a demon she knew a long time ago. He'd let his family down, just like she had let her Pokemon down. Maybe with Genu by her side, things might be different this time. Mary took the night to try to sleep, but she tossed and turned until her Seadra managed to hop onto the bed and snuggle up to her. Genu gave her a sympathetic look and nudged her head with his long nose. Mary hugged him close and started crying, muttering, "I'm sorry," over and over, until she cried herself to sleep. The next day she caught new team members: Wanda the Walrein, Sapsucker the Beautifly, Toxica the Ariados, Nani the Blossom, and a Krogunk that caused her Pokedex to beep. Krogunk, the poison frog Pokemon, a poison and fighting type. This Krogunk belonged to Sarah Sanderson and was called Cyanide. At the name, the Krogunk perked up. Mary couldn't help welling up a bit. It felt like she was sent this Pokemon for a reason. Cyanide, huh? Well, I'm glad thou art here. Last time I caught one of Sarah's old friends, it became my closest ally. What do you say, Cyanide? Want to help me out? Mary asked, and Cyanide gave her a big fist pump and a grin. Cyanide hopped on her back like she was getting a piggyback ride. All right, let's do this properly. I will not fail again. And now, previously on episodes 2 through 4. Mary's new team was challenging, to put it politely. She had 2 bug types in Toxica and Sapsucker, 2 poison types in Toxica and Cyanide, 2 water types with Wanda and Genu, and then Nani stood on her own as a grass type. Thankfully, Wanda's ice typing and bulky defenses were a good answer for dragon types and anything that hit particularly hard. Mary spent time training them in case they were jumped by another trainer with a Garchomp. Genu's accuracy with Water Gun was very impressive. He put some power behind his blasts, and if Mary praised him, he sprayed ink on the ground in the shape of a smiley face. Sapsucker only knew one move thus far, Absorb, so she was really limited on her combat. Mary hoped she'd learn some type of flying-type move soon. Toxica was trying her best, but her moves were pretty weak for the time being. However, she was affectionate and liked basking in the shade. Nani liked to dance in the sun, and her attacks were proving to be very useful. As for Cyanide, she was helping put her teammates through the paces alongside Mary. She was tough but fair to each of her friends, a great sparring partner, and getting stronger during every match. She also gave wonderful hugs, something Mary appreciated. As they set off from Jubilife City, where they'd been, she ran into Billy. "Hey, Mary, how's your journey going with Genu? Catch any new friends?" he asked her. She nodded with a solemn smile. "You okay?" "Mm-hmm," she replied half-heartedly. Cyanide popped out of her ball and patted Mary's hand. Billy looked at her knowingly. "You're not as chipper as you usually are. Even your Krogunk knows. Come on, let's have a battle and try to lift that spirit of yours," Billy challenged her. "If we must," Mary sighed. "Oh, that's not the Mary I know. Let's show her how fun battles can be, Flip-Flop!" Billy sent in his whooper. "Sapsucker, go get it with Absorb." Mary sent in her Beautifly. Sapsucker used Absorb and Whooper fell in one hit. Billy was impressed and clapped for her, then sent in Pearl the Shelter. Sapsucker used Absorb again and took half of its health. Pearl used Withdraw to boost its defenses, but Sapsucker knocked him out with another Absorb. Billy offered his hand to shake after the battle, and Mary did so hesitantly. Hey, whatever happened before, it's all over now. This battle ended that, okay? Billy said encouragingly. Mary nodded, but her eyes said it all. Next time we meet, things will be different. I promise, he said, then went on his way. I hope so, she muttered. I've never dealt with this before. She kept walking and caught a slowbro named Derpy along the way. She made it through Orberg Gate by the time the sun set. She checked into the Pokemon Center, fed her team, then went to bed. Cyanide tucked in her companions in various areas of the room, including the bathtub for Genu and Wanda, then hopped softly into bed. She laid down next to Mary, who was staring at the wall, until she saw her Krogunk lay down in front of her. What? She asked her. Cyanide croaked. I am not pouting. She croaked again and gave her a look. I watched 5 Pokemon die mercilessly in front of me. I blacked out. I was sent to the beginning of the trial again. I am not the one who fails. I never fail the ones I love, and I have failed those 5 wonderful friends of mine. I am not fit to train any more of you beautiful creatures. Cyanide scoffed and huddled up to her. She put her flipper over Mary's heart and looked into her eyes. The gaze was full of confidence and admiration. It was as if she was telling her, I believe in you. I didn't get to fight with Sarah, but I think you're the right trainer for me. I'll be your partner through thick and thin. You're better at this than you think. She got as close as she could to Mary and fell asleep. Mary wrapped her arms around her Krogunk and held her all night long. The following morning she went to Orberg's mine, after being told by the gym trainers the gym leader was working there. She needed to get a badge, or this trial would indeed get the best of her. Down in the mines she met in battle with a scyther that she caught and named Rosora. She finally found the gym leader and asked for a challenge. Well, I've got to get my hours in today. Tomorrow I'll be ready for battles. Think you can wait till then? The route nearby is a great place for training, he told her. Tomorrow it shall be, Mary agreed. She took her team to the route he suggested for training. They worked all day into the night to increase their power, agility, and accuracy. Cyanide helped keep everyone in top form as Mary gave the training orders. The pair worked very well together. Mary couldn't help looking at Cyanide and thinking of her beloved Charizard, Brutus. He was the first Pokemon Sarah had ever received, but she'd not been able to keep him alive. Mary had found him as a Charizard, and he became her closest companion apart from her Mightyena. She had a feeling Cyanide was about to be just like Brutus. Bright and early she went to the gym to face Rourke. Her team did well against the gym trainers, with Cyanide cheering her teammates on when she wasn't battling. When they came up against Rourke, he smiled at her. Watching your battles with my trainers tells me everything I need to know about this battle, so I'm going to switch tactics and use my secondary team today. Get ready for a proper welcome into the Sinnoh League. Jigglypuff, on deck! Rourke sent in a cutie pie of a Pokemon. Sapsucker, I'm counting on thee, Mary sent in her Beautifly. Jigglypuff was no match for the powerful gust attacks Sapsucker had produced. Rourke even had to heal on the second turn because of her power. Sapsucker took down Jigglypuff, then went to work blowing away his Whismur. Rourke's last Pokemon was one Mary was very familiar with, a Venusaur. She knew Sapsucker was her best hope against this grass-type behemoth. Can you keep going? Mary asked her. Sapsucker flapped her wings confidently. Okay, use Gust! Sapsucker was hit by a leech seed which drained her health into Venusaur little by little, but her gust attacks were way too strong. She was determined to win this battle on her own, and with one final blast of the flying-type move, Venusaur fell and Mary gasped. She won! Sapsucker fluttered over to her, and Mary caught the exhausted bug-type in a big hug. She had tears in her eyes, and Sapsucker wiped them away with her wing. Rourke approached with a look of bewilderment on his face. I have never seen a Beautifly with such strength. My bulky friends stood no chance. You two have earned my badge. Rourke presented them with the coal badge, and Mary pinned it to her cloak. You'll need to head back through Jubilife City to get to your next gym in Eterna City. He marked it on her map. Good luck out there, Mary. I'll be watching your progress. I will do thee proud, she promised, then departed from the gym, though she wasn't sure she could keep that promise. On her way back through Orberg Gate, she caught Flotsam the Gorbis. They needed to camp about halfway to Jubilife City, and all Mary could do was stare at her badge. She slept under the stars against Wanda, with Sapsucker resting in her arms. Cyanide looked at them both proudly, then settled in next to Mary. They made it to Jubilife by evening the following day to see a bunch of green-haired goons attacking Professor Rowan and Lucas, who'd been picking up some research supplies. Mary didn't hesitate. She ran into the fray with Nani in the battle position. Nani took out the Lunatone that was attacking, and the two men looked at her. "You really should have minded your own business, kid. Now you're officially an enemy of Team Galactic. Consider this your only warning. Stay out of our business." They took off, running. "Mary, thank you," Professor Rowan said. "We were unprepared for such an attack." "Who were they?" she asked. "Team Galactic," Lucas groaned. "They're a bunch of weirdos who have some kind of agenda to fix the world, whatever that means." "Fix it how?" Mary raised an eyebrow. "No one knows, but they've caused trouble in a few towns already. They're seeking out my research on evolution because of the energy the phenomenon produces. What they want it for is a mystery. You would do well to be vigilant for their activities, Mary, and if you can, put a stop to it," Professor Rowan informed her, but held up a finger. "But don't go putting yourself in danger. Only fight back if provoked. Understand?" "Yes, sir," she replied. Something told her these guys would be a big part of her trial. "I will try to keep my distance." "Good girl. Now we must be off. Come, Lucas." Professor Rowan and Lucas headed off. Mary spent the night in Jubilife, then set off for Floaroma Town the next day. Her team battled valiantly along the way when they were challenged by trainers. When she reached Floaroma Town 2 days later, she arrived in the middle of a crisis. The town had been invaded by none other than Team Galactic. They were holding the workers of Valley Windworks hostage until their demands were met. Any trainers willing to help were called upon, and Mary volunteered. She stopped 2 grunts who were trying to steal comb bee honey away from the meadow nearby. They'd wanted to lure in Pokemon and then force them to evolve. Her team took them out and reclaimed a key to the Windworks. On the way to help the other trainers, she saved a terrified Chikorita from a grunt, and it joined her team. She named her Peridot. Mary delivered the key, and she battled alongside other trainers to drive out Team Galactic. She ran ahead and came face to face with a red-haired woman. She clearly held rank among the grunts. "You've done well getting this far, but now you're up against one of Team Galactic's elite commanders. I'm Mars, and the last person you'll see before you fall. Go, Torchic!" Mars sent in a fire-type Pokemon. "Genu, use Water Gun!" Mary sent in her Seadra. Genu delivered a hard blow to Torchic, took an ember, and received a burn. However, he shot back with Bubble and knocked it out. Next came Talo, and to protect Genu, Mary switched Wanda into the fight. Talo tried to fight the bulky Pokemon, but failed and fell to powder snow. Mars was shocked by her defeat, and had no choice but to retreat and free the hostages. Mary was practically carried out on the shoulders of those hostages in celebration. All of the trainers were honored by the local leaders and given a feast that night. Mary opted to give her share to her Pokemon. She couldn't get any nutrition or taste from food anyway. She slept better that night in the Pokemon Center, then set out the next day to continue her journey to Eterna City. On the route ahead, she met with a powerful Pokemon. Rhydon, a rock and ground type. It hits hard, but it does not excel in speed, her Pokedex said. "We could really use some variety in our typings," Mary mused. "Let's catch this one." It took some time, but she did indeed catch the Rhydon. Her Pokedex beeped again. "This Pokemon's name is Kirishima. It did not belong to Sarah or Winifred Sanderson, but a mysterious 4th entity that surrounds your family, Mary Sanderson. He was raised with care. Use him well," it informed her. "Father?" Mary muttered. "Negative. This is not a Pokemon of the father of the Sanderson sisters." "Then who could have—" Mary trailed off. She had no idea where this fellow had come from, but he was going on the team. Toxica was sent to the meadow in his place, as she'd been the least battle-hardy of the bunch. Kirishima began melding with the team immediately. He was very gentle, kind, and affectionate towards all of his new friends. He loved it when Mary scratched him behind the ear, so much so that his leg would bounce like a dog. Mary loved him immediately. They made it to Eterna Forest by nightfall, where they camped and got to know Kirishima better. He helped his teammates gather berries, then sat down by Mary and Cyanide with a heavy thud. He broke a huge oranberry in 3 pieces to share with them. Mary took it to be polite and ate it, but it tasted like nothing. She still smiled at him in thanks, and he grinned brightly. Cyanide was grateful as well. The stars shone through the trees like diamonds, giving Mary peace for the first time in days. She slept next to Cyanide as usual, but now Kirishima cuddled up close by, sucking on his thumb as he slept. Mary had no idea where this gentle giant had come from, nor who sent him, but she had never been happier with a sudden new friend. While they were sleeping, a rustling sound followed by a few thumps startled her. She jolted awake to see a giant purple scorpion grabbing leftover berries and eating them by the firelight. Sarah sat up slowly, and the Pokemon jumped when it saw her. It started to retreat, but she held up a hand. "Don't worry. Have as much as you like. We have more than enough for tomorrow," Mary told her. "You can stay the night if you like." The Pokemon took her up on the offer, and the next day as they were setting out, it started following her. Mary ended up catching the Drapion, and named her Violet for her lovely color. Getting through the forest was tricky work, and there were trainers everywhere, but Kirishima got a lot of experience and training from it. He was a grand battler who hit hard and protected his friends. Mary knew this fellow had to have been on quite the adventure before coming here. Eventually, they made it out of the forest and found Eterna City on the horizon by nightfall. It had taken days to get here, but she finally made it. Mary slept in her bed that night with Cyanide, and Kirishima curled up on the floor, right next to the bed, thumb in his mouth. Everyone else was in various sleeping areas. When the sun rose the next day, an exhausted Mary slept in. The gym could wait. She instead chose to explore the routes nearby, and it was here she caught Draco, the Crobat, and Inferno, the Quilava. These two were just the Pokemon she needed to give her team a boost. It killed her to do it, but she sent Sapsucker and Wanda to the meadow for now. She promised they'd be called on first if something happened. Then it was time for training, an entire week of training. By the end of it, her new, well-rounded team was ready for the gym. "I'm Gardenia. Rourke told me about you, Mary, and that strong Beautifly of yours. I want to see your skills for myself, so I'm using my other partners today. Are you ready?" the gym leader asked. "I certainly hope so," Mary breathed nervously. "Then here we go! Come on out, Monferno!" She sent in a fire and fighting type. "Genu, begin the battle with Bubble Beam!" Mary's Seadra burst in and blasted his foe with Bubble Beam. It was a one-hit knockout. "Attaboy! Wow, that's some Seadra! Cherubi, give it a taste of its own medicine!" Mary gulped upon seeing the grass type enter the fray. "Genu, switch out!" Mary withdrew him. "Inferno, do your best!" Her Quilava burst onto the field. Cherubi was fast and hit him with Magical Leaf, but it barely tickled. Inferno slammed it with Flame Wheel and knocked it out. Her last Pokemon was a Steel and Psychic type, Metagross. Sarah owned one herself, so Mary knew it was weak to fire types. She and Inferno nodded to each other. He attacked first with a critical power Flame Wheel, but Metagross restored its health with the Citrus Berry. Mary felt a shiver rise up her spine as Inferno took a hard hit from confusion, then fell prey to the confused status. He could hurt himself. She suddenly found herself backed into a corner and had to heal, but Metagross kept hitting her Quilava. She kept healing until there was a break in the melee. Inferno fought through his confusion and slammed Metagross into the yellow. Mary remembered she had an item to reverse confusion and used her turn to do so. Suddenly her blood ran ice cold as Metagross struck with Takedown. It hit so hard Inferno was flung across the room, into the wall, and hit the floor, dead. Mary screamed for him, and Genu burst from his ball in a fit of fury. The Seadra didn't hesitate to launch a barrage of powerful bubble beams and take out the Metagross. Mary won the battle, but at what cost? She held her Quilava close, tears streaking down her face, and Gardenia apologetically gave her the forest badge. Mary took it and left without a word. She cried silently as she buried Inferno in the graves of the PC. Wanda rejoined the team, but she saw Mary was not the same trainer as before. She was heartbroken, despondent, and wanted no comfort. Wanda nudged her kindly as a news report lit up the screens. Team Galactic was attacking the Eterna Observatory. Any trainers who could help were being called into action. With a dark look in her eyes, Mary put her Pokemon into their Pokeballs and hurried to the observatory. The grunts didn't know what hit them when she came in seeing red. Her Pokemon were ordered to deal merciless blows as she wanted to take her pain out on these fools. She meleeed her way through the building, stopping only to heal her team when she reached the hostages on the top floor and another commander. You must be the brat Mars warned me about. You might have beaten her, but allow me to introduce myself. I'm Jupiter, and I'll be ending your journey right here. Gardevoir, attack! Wanda, body slam! Mary commanded her Walrang. Wanda and Gardevoir exchanged blows, but Wanda wasn't going to fail her trainer. She heaved herself into one last body slam, and Gardevoir fell hard. Jupiter sent in a Manaphy, the cousin of Fiona, and Mary's blood boiled seeing it. She sent in Nani to fight, and it came to blows again, but Nani took it out, then broke Jupiter's Pokeball, freeing the mythical from her control. Jupiter screeched and took off running, calling her grunts away too. Mary was rewarded by the bike shop owner for saving him and the others. He'd been there visiting, but she was still too upset to be happy. She left and decided to visit the old mansion nearby for some solitary time. While there, she caught Jiminy the Cricketoon. Mary sat on the rickety steps and allowed herself a good cry. How could I have lost another Pokemon? Inferno had just come to the team and he fell so fast. Mary felt a head lay down on her lap, and she stroked the fur of her companion. Oh, Cabby, what am I going to do? I've never been so bad at being a trainer. The mighty Anna licked her wet cheek in comfort. Suddenly, Mary's eyes widened, and she looked her mighty Anna dead in the eyes. Cabby? Shishka Baby, also called Cabby, pounced on her and licked her face all over, tail wagging a mile a minute. Oh, my stars, you found me! Oh, sweet girl, my sweet girl, Cabby! Mary hugged her oldest companion around the neck, her tears suddenly becoming joyful. I am so happy to see thee! Specially selected for Mary Sanderson. You may catch this Pokemon and use it legally, her Pokedex reminded her. Cabby popped into a ball immediately, and Wanda was sent back to the meadow as backup for Genu. Mary let her companion out, and they walked side by side to the Pokemon Center. When Cabby was introduced to the new team, she quickly became their leader and Cyanide's partner. Cyanide could see the gleam in Mary's eye returning just from having her mighty Anna back. Mary marked their next destination and traveled south back to Orberg, where she found a shortcut in and out of the city. She got a fossil restored, and it was a horsey, the baby form of Genu. As this one was a girl, she named it Junie. Up ahead on the next route, she caught Ember the Magcargo, another Pokemon she was familiar with through Sarah's team. In a nearby cave, she caught Mohawk the Croconaw. She kept hiking when she reached Mount Coronet, and here she met a man with bright blue hair. His eyes were cold and dark. She knew he wasn't just a friendly traveler. Tell me, child, what troubles you? He asked her. She shrugged. Come now, something must be bothering you or you wouldn't be so slouched. Well, I lost a Pokemon recently. It was killed in battle. I'm having a hard time accepting his fate after I watched 5 others die in front of me. She spoke carefully but truthfully. Ah, the emotion of grief is a devil to deal with, he said. That's what ails the world we live in. Such terrible things emotions are. Tell me, do you believe the world would be better without such things? I don't know. Emotions like grief hurt, so I suppose, she muddled the thought. Excellent. He placed a heavy hand on her shoulder. Since we see eye to eye, stay out of my way. Team Galactic is working to fix this world, so people like you will never feel such emotions again. He walked off, leaving Mary shocked. He was with Team Galactic. She caught another water-type Pokemon inside the cave called Octillery, and she named him Hank. As she battled trainers on the new route outside, she mulled over what that man had said. Would the world be better without emotions like that? She thought about how anger had nearly destroyed her family twice, how grief had driven Sarah to madness after losing Billy, how she herself was always walking on eggshells around her sister and feigning happiness. Maybe he was right. As she ventured into the grass below, she heard a familiar sound. Her heart thumped a little harder as she walked, hearing it again. Oh, please do not be my imagination, Mary muttered, her heart racing. She felt a little tap on the back of her head, and she whirled around to see Daisy! Her Mew flew right into her arms and they laughed and hugged for a long time. Mew, a mythical Pokemon, a psychic type. Mew can transform itself at will into any Pokemon it chooses. This is your encounter, her Pokedex announced. Daisy, I have run into many a legendary and failed to catch them thus far. Something's wrong. Allow me to battle and capture you properly. I need to practice, Mary requested, and Daisy nodded. Cabby was first up to fight, and she exchanged blows with Daisy, but Daisy was stronger. Mary switched Cabby out for Nani, and this proved to be a better matchup. Nani used Stun Spore as Daisy transformed into Blossom to mimic Nani. Daisy became paralyzed, and Mary took the opportunity to throw a Pokeball. Daisy went in and click! Mew has been registered to your Pokedex. Welcome back, darling friend. Mary smiled for the first time in days. Her heart was full, her body felt lighter, and she realized she was happy. She was experiencing joy for the first time since reuniting with Cabby. Joy was an emotion that made Mary feel good, and in that instant, she knew the man from Team Galactic had to be stopped. She made her final trek to Heart Home City the following morning, Daisy hovering along beside her like Billy did for a long time in the Johto region. Daisy wasn't officially on the team, but she was there to be a companion. A man gifted Mary with an egg when he saw how good she was with her Pokemon. It hatched later that afternoon, and Iron Man the Magneton was born. Mary was happy to have him, and she decided it was time to do some thinking. Who was going to fill out this team for sure? She needed to make sure all weaknesses were covered. It was time to think, and time to train. And now, previously on episodes 5 through 7. After reaching Heart Home City, Mary took her team to the Pokemon Center to rest. She felt so much better having both Cabby and Daisy return to her. Daisy became like her Jirachi Bilious had in Johto, not officially part of the team, but there for support. While she was resting with her team in the lounge, a pair of hands grabbed her shoulders from behind, causing her to cry out. She whirled around to see Billy laughing. "Sorry, I couldn't help it," he chortled. Daisy floated up and whipped him in the face with her tail. Daisy started giggling at his shocked expression. "I probably deserved that, Mew." "Mew?" "This is Daisy," Mary introduced her companion. "And yes, you did." "Wow, a mythical Pokemon." Billy sat down across from them. "You're so lucky." "Don't say that," Mary said quietly. "I've watched 6 of my Pokemon die." Oh. Billy realized why she had been so upset the last time they met. "I'm sorry, Mary. That's hard. I take it that's what's been bothering you all this time." She nodded. Billy thought for a moment. "You know what? Nope, you're not going to feel like this anymore. Come on, we're going to the contest hall." "What? No, Billy, I just want to rest for a little bit." Billy pulled her up and started to drag her with him. "Rest later. Cheer up first," Billy insisted. There was a line of people signing up for something at the contest hall. Billy pushed Mary in front of him and she looked at him in confusion. He simply smiled and let his Pokemon out of their balls. "Might want to do the same thing," he told her. Mary did. "What are we doing here?" she asked him. "We are entering a Pokemon contest, and you are going to have some actual fun," Billy said confidently. He pointed to some of the demonstrations going on behind the sign-ups. The Pokemon were using their moves in amazing fashion. "Wow," Mary breathed. Kirishima's eyes lit up. "Wow, indeed. It's awesome moves like that make me want to be a coordinator. This is a beginner's contest, so there's not a big reward, but it's fun." Billy noticed Kirishima's big smile. "I think your Rhydon is excited about this." "Do you want to do it?" Mary asked her Rhydon. Kirishima nodded vigorously. "Okay, Kiri, we'll do it." Mary and Kirishima showed their stuff in the performance, with Mary coming up with amazing combinations that Kirishima pulled off flawlessly. They received so much applause it was deafening. Mary found herself smiling for the first time in a long time. Kirishima was beaming. When it came to the battle phase, her whole team did well, with Genu putting on quite the show of agility. In the finals, it was her versus Billy. Mary felt confident in her team's abilities as Billy sent in his first Pokemon, Salamence. Kirishima went for it, and while Salamence was fast, Kirishima's patience paid off. Rock Slide took out Salamence in one hit. Cradilly faced off against Cyanide. Cyanide earned contest points by running up Cradilly's vines and coming in for the strike. Cyanide's acrobatic moves kept the points flowing with Shelder and Kakuna, in the end, winning the contest. Mary's team was rewarded with friendship ribbons, and she couldn't stop smiling. This was the best she had felt in a while. Billy had been right. She needed this. "Your team's doing really well," Billy smiled at her. "You're a great trainer." "So are you," Mary told him. "Salamence is especially impressive." "Yeah, Elliot is learning fast," he said. "Where are you all off to next?" "Heart-Home Gym is closed while the leader's out for a while. I heard there's some cool ruins in Salacion Town." "We'll be passing through there on our way to Veilstone City," Mary told him. "There's a gym there." She paused. "Thank you for today, Billy. I really did need this." "I knew something wasn't right with you. But think about it this way, Mary. Your Pokemon who've passed are watching over you now. They're cheering you on and their spirits will always be with you. Honor them by winning the league," Billy said kindly. "I know you and I haven't really gotten along all the time, but today was fun." "It certainly was," she agreed. They went back to the Pokemon Center for the night. While Mary laid in bed, hugging Daisy in her arms, she thought about what Billy said. She thought of the Pokemon she lost on this journey and could feel them with her. She smiled to herself and nodded. She could do this. She set off the next day for Veilstone City and battled trainers along the way. Mary's team was getting stronger by the day, and it made her happy to see everyone getting along. There was a tower up the road where trainers could bury their Pokemon that passed away. Mary got special permission to erect a memorial for her fallen team members without their bodies. She stood before the headstone bearing their names and let out a long breath. "I'm sorry I could not protect you from that Garchomp, or Metagross in the case of Inferno, but I know you all would not want me to give up. I promise thee that no matter the hardships I face, I will not stop fighting. Stay by my side as we continue this path. I will not fail you again." Mary kissed the stone, then walked out. She was followed out by a stray Lotad, which she caught and named Cilantro. In Salacion Town, Mary spent time with her team for a while in the sun. They were having a good time running around and playing. Daisy was among them, having a blast. The next day, they visited the ruins to explore and unearth hidden treasures. Mary was collecting a lot of great stuff when a selfish explorer demanded half of her findings because he had been there all day long. After a firm refusal, they ended up in a battle. During that battle, tragedy struck once again as Cyanide was killed by an Empoleon with a critical hit Metal Claw. Mary felt so angry with the man, she unleashed her magic and fried him with her lightning. Her anger was so palpable the walls shook, but it wasn't from her anger. The man ran away screaming from both the pain and terror. Mary looked up from Cyanide's body to see an enormous Pokemon towering over her. Her Pokedex beeped. Palkia, the legendary ruler of space, a water and dragon type. This is your encounter. Of course it is, Mary gulped, holding Cyanide even closer to her, afraid she would be eaten. Palkia leaned down and started sniffing Mary. Well, okay. He sneezed a puff of air in her face, then panted happily, tail wagging. You seem surprisingly friendly. Her dex beeped again. Upon further scanning and investigation, this Palkia once belonged to Sarah Sanderson under the name of Zilla. Thou dost know my sister? Mary asked Palkia. Her dex flashed up a photo of Sarah and Palkia. Palkia looked at it, let out a happy noise, and his tail wagged harder. Well, what a small world. Any chance thou wouldst like to come with me? Mary asked him. Palkia licked her with his tongue. Not just her face, but her whole upper torso. Mary almost lost hold on Cyanide's body, but she cradled her closely. Suddenly, Cyanide's body glowed and vanished in a flash of light. No! Cyanide! Where hast thou gone? Mary ran through the ruins, catching a Growlithe named Blaze at the behest of her dex. There was no sign of Cyanide's body anywhere. Zilla, freshly caught as well, was looking all over the place for his new trainer, but nothing was found. He nuzzled Mary's side after their search came up nil. Mary patted him as she mulled things over. Cyanide's death was the last straw. She went back to the Pokemon Center and to her PC and accessed the meadow. She called Genu out of his ball. I can't risk losing you too, Genu. I love you too much. The moment I find a dragon scale to let you evolve, I'll get you out of the meadow. I'm going to put Zilla on the team for now. Please understand. She wiped a few tears from her eyes. I love you too much. Genu hopped into her arms and they shared a long hug. He gave her an understanding look. Protect the others for me. Zilla joined the team as Genu went to the meadow. Having another one of Sarah's old friends was the comfort she needed. It made her sister feel close. In the grass nearby, Mary caught Marcel, the Mime Jr. The following day, they began their long trek to Veilstone City in the pouring rain. It was in this rain that Mary heard a familiar croaking. She ran into a Krogunk, and it leaped into her arms. Cyanide has returned, said her Pokedex. A strange entity allowed this to happen, but her ability has changed. She is not the same as before. Is this the same entity that brought me Kirishima? She questioned as she hugged her Krogunk tightly, receiving smooches. Classified, said the Dex. Normally I would become irritated with thy secrecy, but Cyanide is back, so I care not. Mary hugged her as close as she could, then gave her her Pokeball back and friendship ribbon. The trek was better now with Cyanide back at her side. Zilla was proving his worth quickly, and he was fiercely protective of his new friends. He loved Mary already. He tried very hard to keep her shielded from the rain, which she appreciated. No trainer stood a chance against the team now, and 2 days later they made it to Veilstone. Mary needed to do some serious training with her team and took the next 2 weeks to do so. In the tiny cave, she caught Drumstick the Torchic. The grass of the route yielded Yasmin the Illumise, and the Valor Lakefront brought on Kiara the Shinx. 2 weeks of battles and care, and everyone was in fighting shape. Cyanide was back to her old self and ready to go. They walked into the gym and took out the trainers with ease. The gym leader stood ready. I'm Maylene. I can sense power in you and I want to test it. I'm going to throw a variety of Pokemon at you instead of my normal fighting types. Are you ready? Absolutely. We are ready. Mary felt a new confidence in herself. Come out, Seviper! Maylene sent in a poison snake. Cyanide, attack with Mud Bomb! Cyanide burst in and spat a mud bomb quickly. It hit hard, she received a tiny blow, then finished it with a second mud bomb. Lairon was next, and Cyanide's agility matched with her incredible rock smash attacks knocked it out quickly. Baniri was the final opponent. It gave Cyanide a run for her money. Cyanide used her new revenge move to double her attack power after taking a blow, and she ended the battle by landing in a pose in front of Mary. Maylene couldn't pick her jaw up after seeing that display. Mary hugged Cyanide close, and they smiled at each other. Maylene approached and handed the cobble badge to both of them. You earned this in a way I've never seen before. Cyanide, you are the most amazing Krogunk I've ever had the pleasure of battling. Go out there and keep kicking butt. We will, Mary promised with a crooked smile. She finally felt happy again. Team Galactic was causing trouble outside, but thanks to Mary, they were driven off. Pastoria City was their next destination, and it took a few days to get there, but it was worth the travel. On the way, they had caught Marie the Mareep. In the Great Marsh of Pastoria, she caught 6 Pokemon. Casper the Mismagius, Shaco the Claydol, Stella the Skuntank, Emily the Togepi, Ribbit the Politoed, and in a stroke of luck, she met up with her old Suicune, Sarah, whose name she changed to Mystery. It had been quite the mystery as to how she had shown up here, so the name fit. Mary saved a drowning Igglybuff named Gene Bob from the lake in the town, then helped an injured Ursaring named Kenai on the route nearby. She heard tell of a special garden nearby, and she visited. Here she caught Medley the Chatot. After that, it was time to train again. And now, previously on episode 8. It took several days to get everyone in fighting shape. Trainer after trainer challenged Mary and her Pokemon to a battle, which they won every single time. Zilla proved he was the king in every battle by showing his prowess with water and dragon-type moves. Cyanide showed her stuff with her agility and hard-hitting attacks. Nani's grass-type moves dazzled. Kirishima's defenses were unstoppable. Draco zoomed through the sky, attacking from a distance, and Cabby ran circles around her opponents. Mary was proud of each and every one of them. Daisy sat on her shoulder like she always did, cheering on her friends. Before they knew it, they were face to face with the gym leader. "Welcome to Crasher Wake's water arena. I'm Crasher Wake. Challenger, state your name and your business here," said the gym leader. Okay. My name is Mary Sanderson, and I am here to hopefully win a gym badge," Mary said, startled by the bravado of this man. I don't believe you. Show me your confidence or you don't get a battle. Say it from your gut." Wake pounded his stomach. Mary took a few deep breaths, pounded her own gut a couple of times, and stared him in the eyes. "I am Mary Sanderson, and I am here to take thy badge." "That's the spirit. Let's get started. Golduck, enter the ring." Crasher Wake sent in his water type. "Nani, flourish in battle." Mary sent in her Blossom. Nani took a couple of hits from Fury Swipes, then healed herself by using Mega Drain, plunging her opponent into yellow. Golduck hit back with the Psychic-type move Confusion. Nani barely felt it and countered with Magical Leaf. Golduck dropped, and Wake had to send in a new Pokemon. Riolu proved to be a tough opponent with its ability to take a hit. In the end, Nani struck it down with Magical Leaf and Mega Drain. With the final opponent Vaporeon, Nani had to use Stun Spore to paralyze it. Her Grass-type attacks were powerful. She wanted to follow Mary's every command and make her trainer proud. After a while, Nani managed to pull off the victory with one final Mega Drain. Mary cheered wildly for Nani, as did Daisy. Nani ran over to Mary, who caught her in her arms and hugged her tightly. Wake applauded for them as he approached. "Now that was a battle! That Blossom was awesome! You both earned the Fen badge!" Wake presented her with her 4th badge. They were halfway there. Mary pinned it to her cloak. "Now get out there and Mr. Wake, sir! There are Team Galactic members outside, threatening to blow up Lake Valor!" a voice called from the doorway. Mary and Wake ran outside to see Billy battling against one of the grunts. Mary jumped in as well while Wake took on the leader. Billy saw her and they nodded to each other. His Apom, Larvitar, Slowbro, and Shelter were putting in a lot of work. Cabby charged in to handle the situation, taking out her foes flawlessly. While they kept trying to fight them back, a helicopter swooped in and took away the bomb. Wake gave chase, telling the 2 trainers to stay put. Billy recalled all of his Pokemon as Cabby stood to Mary's side. "Those terrible people!" Billy clenched his fists. "They want to blow all of the water out of Lake Valor and capture the legendary Pokemon that's said to be there. For what purpose?" Mary pondered. "I don't know, but I want to find out," Billy said. "I've heard there have been sightings up near Celestic Town and over on Iron Island. We should split up and each investigate a spot. That is, if you want to get involved." "Oh, I want to get involved. These people are hindering our journeys, not to mention harming innocent Pokemon," Mary agreed. "I met a man several weeks ago in Mount Coronet who was with Team Galactic. He questioned me about emotions and if the world would be better if they were gone." Billy stroked his chin. "The legends of the lake have to deal with the virtues of wisdom, willpower, and emotion. These things could be connected. Celestic Town has information on those legends." "Thy thoughts might be correct. I shall go to Celestic Town whilst thou doth investigate Iron Island." Mary and Billy shook hands, then started off on their respective journeys. It took 3 weeks for Mary to hike from Pastoria City, through Veilstone City, and up through the wilds of the route above Salacion Town. Every step of the way, her Pokemon trained and kept her safe. When camping, they all snuggled together around the campfire and had a good time. This was when Mary could really bond with her team, and Daisy. Cabby and Daisy she was well acquainted with, but the others were still somewhat new to her. She loved all of them and their individual quirks. Zilla, for instance, was afraid of the dark and didn't like citrus berries. Mary had to spoon-feed them to him with some pecha berries mixed in. He was the one everyone slept on or against at night as it made him feel less afraid. Kirishima was a cuddler, which she already knew, but he was also great at cheering up teammates when they were down. Nani was a marvelous dancer, but she was also a great forager. She picked the best berries and even helped make meals out of them. Mary always ate what she was given, even though it tasted like nothing to her. Draco, while a flying type, loved flying in the rain and splashing down in mud puddles. The dirtier he could get, the better. What he loved better than getting dirty was having Mary give him a bath. He enjoyed the quality time with her. Cyanide, however, was dealing with the trauma of losing her life and being brought back. She was always pushed by the others to have fun, but with a new ability, a second chance at life, and worrying about possibly losing her life again, she spent all of her spare time training and perfecting her moves. Mary finally pulled her aside one evening. "Cyanide, thy friends want to spend time with thee. Please go play with them. I know thou art terrified of another loss. I am too, but we cannot let it rule us. This is something I've also had to come to terms with. Before I got you and the others, I lost 5 friends and was plunged back to the beginning of my journey. For weeks I only saw my failures, letting them rule my every move. But I was wrong. This time of travel has opened my eyes. Focusing on failure only holds us back from our potential. Since getting thee back, we've only had good things happen. Let us try to focus on those things instead. Together we can do anything if we keep moving forward. While the past hurts, we can make the future better." Cyanide hung on her every word, staring into her eyes the entire time. She seemed to understand what her trainer was saying. After a long silence, Cyanide spat a mud bomb into her flipper and balled it up. She tossed it gently to Mary, who caught it and tossed it back, Cyanide catching it. Cyanide grinned, then ran over to the other Pokemon and started tossing the mud ball around with them. Mary smiled crookedly the entire time. When they finally arrived in Celestic Town, a stray Flaffy was wandering around looking for a home. Mary caught him and named him Mario. Nearby, she caught Sabrina the Abra when a commotion kicked up from the ruins in town. And now... Previously on Episode 9. Mary came face to face with Team Galactic grunts guarding the entrance to the ruins. She saw an elderly lady in a white coat, a small group of scientists, and a blonde woman battling with a Garchomp against them. One grunt, carrying what looked like an explosive, was heading into the ruins. No one could see him breaking off. Mary chased after him. She needed to see those ruins. "Stop right there, miscreant! I will not let thee harm this sacred place," she shouted, startling him. "We'll see about that. Go, Scyther!" The grunt sent in his Scyther, who flashed its bladed arms. "Kirishima, attack!" Mary sent in her Rhydon. Scyther tried to hit him with Fury Cutter across the chest, but Kirishima smirked down at the Scyther. "Rock throw!" Kirishima pulled a rock from the ground, threw it, and knocked out the Scyther. Coughing fell to the exact same maneuver. Kirishima grabbed the grunt and held him in an unfriendly bear hug. Mary picked up the explosive and began to bag it when someone snatched it from her from behind. She spun around and came face to face with the blue-haired man from Mount Coronet. His cold eyes stared at her, then he let out a disappointed sigh. "I thought I found a kindred spirit in you when we last spoke. You seemed to share my inclination about emotions being detrimental to the world. It seems I was mistaken," he said. "Yes, you were. Emotions make us who we are. Yes, they hurt. Grief, anger, sadness, they hurt us. But there are so many more that make us feel alive. Happiness, friendship, love. I love my Pokemon. I love my sisters. And to live without that, to feel nothing but indifference towards them, only that is hell. And trust me, I've been there," Mary said fiercely. "Big talk for a small child," he scoffed. "Thine eyes deceive you," she told him. All he could see was her young self. "And you are overconfident in your abilities. Now let go of my ally, and we will leave these ruins intact. I have what I need," he said. Mary didn't budge. "I don't think you heard me, little one." He pulled a remote out of his pocket and aimed it at the bomb. "Release my grunt, or these ruins will be no more, and neither will you or your Pokemon." "Let him go, Kirishima," Mary said after a pause. Kirishima did as he was told. Good girl. He put away the remote and gave the bomb back to his freed grunt. Now listen, and listen well. My name is Cyrus, and I will bring about the creation of a new world, one free from the frivolity of emotion. You cannot stop me. Enjoy your last moments on this earth, for in a short time, it will no longer exist. Mary's blood ran cold as he spoke. He wasn't joking. This wasn't like Team Rocket or Team Magma. This man was different. He was hardened, cruel, and unbudging. She watched as he left on one of those mechanical birds called helicopters. The blonde woman and the elderly woman ran over to her. "Are you okay?" asked the blonde. "I am." "You saved our history, young lady. I can't thank you enough, but consider taking this as a start." The elderly woman handed her the HM for surf. "I am Professor Caroline. I study the ancient Sinnoh legends. This is my granddaughter, Cynthia." "I assist Grandma when I'm not busy at the Pokemon League." Cynthia shook Mary's hand. "My name is Mary. I have had several encounters with these terrible people." Mary suppressed a growl. "Is there anything you can tell me about why or how they plan to create a new world?" "These ruins depict the legend of the Lake Guardians Azelf, Mesprit, and Uxie. Each Pokemon possesses a powerful crystal to amplify their psychic energy," Professor Carolina explained. "If they come together, their powers can be used to summon the deities of time and space, Dialga and Palkia. Long ago, when this region was known as Hisui, it was documented that the only way to control the power of the deities was to use a red chain created from the pieces of the crystals. They can only be given willingly to work properly." Cynthia finished. "Dost thou believe Team Galactic will try to find and capture the Lake Guardians?" Mary asked them worriedly. "Unfortunately, we can't determine that yet, but the odds aren't looking good," Professor Carolina mused. "You are a very capable trainer, Mary. We could use your help in locating and stopping Team Galactic from causing further damage around the region." "I'm only available every now and then when I can leave the League," Cynthia sighed. "I have a lot of important work to do there. Having someone to help out would be wonderful." "I'm happy to help," Mary agreed. "My acquaintance Billy has gone to Iron Island to investigate rumors of the villain's workings there. I plan to join him soon." "We'll keep in contact and let you know if we find anything." Professor Carolina entered her number on Mary's Poketch. "Thank you for your help here today. You will need Hearthome's gym badge before you can open Surf." "Of course, and thank thee for the information." Mary had gotten the HM for Fly in recent weeks, giving her back her broom. Now that she was clear of the fog, she was able to fly back to Hearthome City. It was a shorter trip, and she arrived at sunset. She slept at the Pokemon Center that night, Cyanide in bed snuggling, and Kirishima on the rug next to the bed. Draco and Nani shared the top bunk together, and Cabby slept on the window seat since the rug was taken, and Daisy slept on her back. Zilla was still in his Pokeball, as he was far too large to sleep in such a small room. Mary laid awake for a while thinking about what Cyrus had said to her and how cold he had felt. She'd only seen that sort of coldness a few times before, and it was from her own sister. When Winifred had told Max he was a fool to die for his sister, and when she cast out Book. It chilled her to the bone now just as it had then. Cyrus was too dangerous to allow free rein. To get to him, she needed her 5th badge first and foremost. "Hello, I am Fantina, gym leader and top coordinator in the Pokemon contest circuit. And who is this fabulous specimen before me?" the gorgeous woman asked. "My name is Mary Sanderson. I am a challenger, and I previously won the beginners contest here in Hearthome City with my Rhydon." "Ah, yes, I knew that name sounded familiar. Your ride-on was magnificent. That settles it. I am using my contest team to battle you today. Prepare yourself. Curtain up, Grumpig." Fantina sent in a Psychic-type Pokemon. "Battle stations, Cabby." Mary sent in her Mightyena. Grumpig used all manner of health restoration every time Cabby struck. When it used Rest, it restored its health and levitated beautifully. Cabby hunkered down, wagged her tail, and followed Mary's command to spring into the air and strike. Cabby struck with Bite and knocked out Grumpig. Next came Regice, a dangerous Pokemon that tended to use all of its power to create an explosion. Most of her Pokemon were too fragile to handle this Titan. Normally, she'd let Kirishima fight due to his strong defenses, but he was very weak to ice types. She pulled a ball from her leather pouch and kissed it. She tossed it, and out came Zilla, who roared, ready to fight. Regice started powering up as Zilla chipped away at the beast. Zilla took several large hits, but eventually overpowered the behemoth. He was exhausted after that fight. As Krabby came in for the final round, Mary knew her Palkia was too exhausted to keep going, so she called him back. Draco came in and prepared to strike with Air Cutter, when Krabby pulled a surprising move. "Krabby, use Guillotine!" Guillotine was a move Winifred had told Mary about. It was a move that killed if it hit. Her Kingler had learned it for a while, but he never mastered it. Mary's heart stopped as Krabby struck and Draco fell to the ground in front of her, dead. She cradled her Crobat lovingly, sniffling as her tears began. The Pokeball burst open and Nani entered the field angrily. Draco was her best friend, and she wanted revenge. Krabby taunted her by using Protect a few times in a row. Finally, as Nani's anger hit its peak, her Magical Leaf became a Magical Leaf Blizzard, breaking through Protect and knocking Krabby out in an instant. Nani breathed heavily, made her way to the dumbfounded Fantina, snatched the badge from the pedestal, and took the relic badge to Mary. Silently, Mary pinned it to her cloak, picked herself and Draco up from the floor, gave a nod to Fantina, then left. Mary spent that night in her room hugging Daisy and being snuggled by everyone who could fit in the room. Zilla's Pokeball stayed by her bedside. She was so upset with her bad luck that nothing could keep her mind off of it. This shouldn't have happened. For now, Daisy would join the team. The next day, she set off on her fly to Jubilife City, Daisy sitting on the broom in front of her. Mary hoped she could find a life potion in the near future to revive Draco. From Jubilife, she had to hop on Zilla's back to surf across the watery route towards Canalave City, the city that was close to Iron Island. On the way, she was attacked by a Jinx that ended up being her encounter. Nuisance was sent to the meadow for now. In Canalave City, she caught an Electrike named Shock. At the center, she ran into Billy, who looked distraught. Mary approached and tapped him on the shoulder. He jumped, then looked relieved. "Hey, Mary, I'm glad you're here. I've just come back from Iron Island and it's chaos. All of the steel types on the island are going crazy. There's some kind of hum coming from within the caverns, making them run rampant. I've been working with this guy Riley to fix the problem, but we got overwhelmed. He sent me back here for now to let my team rest. I've got a few new members ready to fight, but Pearl still needs some more time. Any chance you could go with me to the island tomorrow to help end this nightmare?" "Absolutely. I was heading there anyway. We'll go first thing tomorrow. I need to restock my supplies, then I'll meet you back here," Mary told him. She went to the market and stocked up on potions, berries for her team, Pokeballs, repels, and one revive, which she broke open to find ingredients for a life potion. Mary brewed it, bottled it, filled a large oranberry with it, and fed it to Nuisance, who had been bullying the Pokemon in the meadow. Mary apologized to the Jinx as she drained the life force from it into Draco, telling her that the sacrifice wouldn't be in vain. As she buried the Pokeball containing her deceased Jinx, Draco sputtered and opened his eyes. Mary hugged him tightly, kissing him all over, until Nani threw herself between them to hug him and cry. The Blossom was wrapped in loving wings as Draco got up. He was welcomed back into the fold happily, and Daisy still remained a constant companion. The next day, Mary and Billy boarded a special boat to Iron Island, packed with trainers ready to take on the rampaging Pokemon. When they arrived, Billy introduced Mary to his new friend, Riley. Riley asked the two of them to accompany him in the caverns where he'd spotted Team Galactic. Inside the caverns, Mary rescued an Infernape who was surrounded by Agrons. Victorious, Victor for short, was sent to the meadow to recover from his injuries. Mary, Billy, and Riley reached the end of the cavern and found the source of the problem. Team Galactic had built a machine that sent wavelengths into the minds of steel types to make them aggressive. Billy went to work with Pearl, who had evolved into Cloyster, to destroy the machine as Riley and Mary battled and defeated the grunts. During the battles, Cyanide started to glow, grow, and she evolved into Toxicroak. Cyanide was stronger than ever, and she whooped all of her foes. They had been holding an egg hostage, and Mary took it away from the grunts. It hatched into a Porygon 2 later that night, and she named it Octagon. Billy decided to stick around and watch Mary's upcoming gym battle at the Cantilave Gym. And now, previously on episodes 10 and 11, weeks of training went by on Iron Island and the routes near Cantilave. The recommended power levels for Pokemon facing the gym were around 40, so that's what Mary did. Cyanide pushed her team to their full power. She put them through sparring matches with her and with each other. She was Mary's most loyal companion so far. Genu was even called back after they found a dragon scale for him. Genu trained while wearing the scale around his neck, and after a couple of days, he glowed brightly, evolved, and became a Kingdra. Zilla and Genu battled each other over and over to test their strengths and weaknesses now that they were both water dragon types. In the end, Genu saw it fit to keep guarding the meadow and allow Zilla to continue his journey with Mary. Something told him the Palkia really needed this. All the while, Billy helped her out where he could by allowing his Pokemon to battle hers when requested. He had been taking part in more contests than gym battles, but that made his team all the more formidable. The pair of trainers got along well, but Billy had seemed a little leerier of Mary since Iron Island. Not that he hadn't been grateful for her help, but it was as if he was beginning to remember something he couldn't quite place his finger on. This development made Mary a little nervous to be around him, but she was happy that he'd come to her gym battle nonetheless.
So I heard you defeated my son a few months ago.
Yep, I'm Byron, Rourke's father, and Cantilave gym leader. You're Mary Sanderson. I want to see how you do against my team that helps me out when I'm mining. You ready for that? My team is ready once thou art, Mary said confidently.
Okay then, Charizard, time to battle!
Byron sent in a Pokemon Mary knew all about thanks to one of her original partners. Zilla, I believe in thee! Battle stations! Mary sent in her Palkia, who was becoming more courageous by the day. Ancient power! Zilla struck before Charizard could move. His ancient power attack was quadruply effective against Charizard, and the fire-flying type fainted in one blow. Ponyta came in, and Zilla switched to his surf attack to take it out. He was taking the gym head-on by himself. The last Pokemon was a tricky little skitty like the one Sarah had brought home after living as one in a surprise second journey the previous year. It could charm even legendary Pokemon into doing its bidding. Mary took a deep breath. She still believed in Zilla. Use ancient power, she commanded. Zilla charged up the attack, but it began to transform into something she had never seen before. She quickly took out her Pokédex. What's happening? Spatial Rend. A dragon-type move only used by the ruler of space, Palkia. It appears Palkia has unlocked its full potential at last, spoke the cursed box. Oh my, Mary breathed and locked eyes with her partner. Zilla, unleash Spatial Rend! With a roar, Zilla did just that, striking the final hit in a blowout gym battle where Byron never even got to attack once. Byron stood dumbfounded that he had just been obliterated by a real Sinnoh legend. He saw the big behemoth run over to its trainer and lay down on its back with a smile on its face while Mary rubbed his belly with both of her hands, making him chatter happily. There was a real connection between the two of them, not unlike his with his own Pokemon, but to tame a legend like Palkia took something special. Byron walked over to the pair and awarded them the Mine Badge. Mary pinned her 6th badge to her cape and smiled at Zilla. You earned this, Zilla. I am proud of thee, she said, and his giant tongue licked her entire upper half. Cut it out! You're something special, kid. Don't lose that spark, okay? Don't let anything or anyone take it from you, Byron told her, and she nodded. Billy and Mary walked out of the gym together. He could not stop complimenting her on the battle. He wasn't even that good with his legendary Cresselia. As they were heading to the Pokemon Center, there was a rumble. The earth shook, and loud booms rang out in the skies above. Once everything settled, they exchanged looks and ran to the Pokemon Center. On the magic screens were scenes of damage, destruction, and Team Galactic at the 3 lakes of Sinnoh. "Mary, this is bad. They're after the Mirage Legends. We have to stop them," Billy exclaimed. "Right. I'll hurry along to Lake Valor. I know the way since I've been there before," she said. "I'm going to Snow Point City. My last contest was there, so I know where to go," Billy said, then gave her a sympathetic look. "Be careful." "You as well," she said, and they hurried on their way. Mary reached Lake Valor by nightfall. She'd been flying at breakneck speed the entire way with no stops. At a normal pace, it would have taken 2 days, but she knew the legendary Pokemon didn't have that kind of time. She landed in the lake bed where only puddles of water remained. Pokemon were being rounded up, and one, an Azelf like the one from her journey 2 years ago, was being placed in a capture container by a man with dark blue hair. "Leave that creature alone," she declared angrily. "Zilla, rescue Azelf!" "Shroomish. Sleep powder," declared the man. Zilla slashed with Dragon Claw, knocking it out, but the sleep powder put him out of action. "Do not challenge my patience. I am Saturn, the highest-ranking commander under Master Cyrus. I have defeated thy allies, and I will defeat thee as well," Mary barked. She quickly fed Zilla a chesto berry, and he woke up enraged. "Mankey, dispose of her false legend." Saturn sent in a fighting type. "Zilla, Dragon Claw again!" Mary commanded. Mankey and Zilla's attacks crossed, but Zilla overpowered the foe and knocked it out. Saturn's Baltoy was washed away by surf, but Saturn only smirked. "Your rage blinded you both," he chuckled. "Your false legend was too busy battling my lackeys to notice Azelf was taken away." "No!" Mary gasped, seeing the mechanical bird flying away with Azelf in tow. "Thou wilt pay for this!" "No one foolish enough to tote around a false legend can defeat us," Saturn said. "False legend?" Mary questioned him. "This so-called Palkia is nothing but a mere copy of the one we plan to summon. This is no ruler of space. This is a mockery of that mythical beast. There can only be one Palkia, and yours will fail." "Thou speaketh falsehoods. Thou wilt not get in my head." Mary resisted his trickery, and Zilla growled angrily. "Ta-ta for now. We got what we wanted. Mars and Jupiter will have finished their missions soon enough." Saturn grabbed a ladder coming from another mechanical bird, then took off into the sky. Mary found out hours later that Mesprit was taken from Lake Verity and much damage had occurred around Sandgem Town. Mary went to help out and rescued a couple of severely injured Pokemon along the shores of nearby routes, Remedy the Chansey and Kelsey the Geodude. Mary knew she needed to go meet up with Billy in Snow Point. After what she did in the past, she needed to make sure he was okay. She didn't know how to fly to Snow Point City, but she knew she needed to head up from Celestic Town. The only way to Snow Point on foot was through a cave, then up a very snowy and cold route. Mary gave a special item to Kirishima, who insisted on walking with her. It was called a protector, something he'd been very good at. They got into a battle with a passing trainer, and when it was over, the protector glowed. Then Kirishima glowed. He grew bigger, broader, and evolved. "Rhyperior has been registered to your Pokedex," beeped the cursed box. "Kirishima? Wow!" Mary stammered as he looked himself over, then flexed. The evolution gave him more confidence, allowing him to shield Mary from the freezing winds. The hike was brutal, to say the least. Mary had felt the flames of hell, but this was a close second in terms of pain. The biting wind, the snow hitting her face, the snow up to her hips. Kirishima shielded her as much as he could, but when Mary saw ice forming on his body, she put him back in his ball. She kept walking, teeth chattering, body shivering, clothes soaked through to her bones. Eventually, she found a cabin to warm up in where a hiker kept her in hot tea and soup, neither of which tasted like anything to her. It had been days since she started this quest, and all she hoped was that Billy had succeeded in holding off Team Galactic. She slept in the cabin, then set off again the next day to continue her journey. The blizzard hadn't let up yet, and the snow only grew deeper. Somehow, the snow felt slightly comforting, even though it was freezing her to the bone marrow. She didn't know why exactly, but it did. Eventually, the snowfall stopped, which made her journey much easier to traverse. She found a tiny little sunkern shivering on a rock, trying to escape the cold. Mary caught Lemon Drop to keep her warm, and did the same when she finally reached Acuity Lakefront and caught Loudred, naming him Stereo. She charged forward into the lake's area and saw Billy fighting for his life as a Pokemon called Uxie was being hauled off. Mary ran to his side as Jupiter took off in her mechanical bird, laughing maniacally. Billy was crying, digging his fists into the snow, and as Mary bent to rub his back, he looked up at her bleary-eyed. "I couldn't do it. I couldn't save Uxie. I couldn't save her," he cried. "Uxie knows you tried," Mary said. "Not just Uxie," Billy said half to himself. Mary patted his back. "We'll get Uxie back. I promise," she said. "Let's get you and your team back to the Pokemon Center." Mary helped him to Snow Point City, trying to comfort him the entire way. He kept mumbling about not being able to save her. Mary was beginning to think he didn't mean Uxie. They passed a gym, and Mary knew she needed to let Billy recover from his fights with Team Galactic. While he slept and was treated for symptoms of hypothermia, she trained her team up, caught Graphite, the Pupitar, and went to the gym for her 7th badge. "So you're the trainer that's been making waves through the gym challenge. Mary Sanderson, my name is Candace, and I'll be battling you today," the gym leader introduced herself. "If you want my badge, you'll have to earn it from my auxiliary team." "We'll be leaving here with that badge," Mary said strongly. She needed to get her frustration out from losing Azelf. The battle began with Zilla facing off against Manectric. Zilla's spatial rend knocked it out in one hit. The second Manectric fell in the same way. Azurill was next, and one Dragon Breath knocked it out. Caterpie was last, and Zilla barely had to lift a finger to finish it off. Candace handed over the Icicle badge, and Mary pinned it to her cape. When she returned to the Pokemon Center, Billy was waiting for her. He looked determined. "I found out where Team Galactic has been hiding. They're in Veilstone City. We can go get the Pokemon back," he said quickly. "Then we'll go," Mary said strongly. "Give your team a rest and meet me there as soon as you can," Billy said. "Good luck," she told him as he left. She wasn't too far behind him after getting her team healed. She flew down to Veilstone, arriving by nightfall. She found Billy lurking around a storage building. He had gotten a hold of a rusty storage key, and they used it to pry open the door. They broke into the facility, raised chaos, and broke into the boss's room. Cyrus looked at them with his icy stare. "Billy, go get the legends," Mary told him. "I will handle Cyrus." "Oh, you will you?" Cyrus asked her, as Billy made his way down the hall. "How confident you've become in recent weeks. You really believe you will stop me?" Yes, I do," Mary growled. "We'll see about that." Cyrus plucked a Pokeball from the table. He sent out a Bronzong. "Cabby, attack!" Mary sent in her oldest companion. Cabby took it down with Night Slash. Then Cyrus, shocked by her power, sent in Politoed, which went up against Nani. Nani had to switch out after a bit because of Politoad's Perish song, but the foe fell to its own power. Mary had Zilla facing a Wobbuffet, and she thought for sure that this was going to be it for Zilla. Zilla surprised her, locked eyes with her, and unleashed 2 spatial rend attacks before Wobbuffet could even move. Cyrus stood in anger and shock as he laid eyes on Palkia. There are 2?" he stammered, then grit his teeth. "You won the battle, but you won't win the war. My preparations are complete at Spear Pillar. Those 3 Pokemon in the back are no longer of use to me, as I have their crystals." Cyrus passed by her, glared, and smirked. "Your Palkia will soon need to prove its worth. Pray it doesn't disappoint you." Mary growled at him as he left, then hurried to find Billy, who was pressing Saturn against a wall. Saturn had a big black eye. Billy looked at Mary and nodded. She ran to the big red button, pressed it, and freed the Pokemon, who disappeared. Billy dragged Saturn with them out of the headquarters to the local police office. "We need to get the Spear Pillar," Billy told her. "And we will," she said. And now, previously on episode 12, Mary and Billy hurriedly made their way to Mount Coronet. It was going to be a very long climb to its peak, but they had no other choice. If they didn't stop Cyrus, no one else would. They hiked as far as they could before having to set up camp. As they fed their Pokemon, a hungry Carnivine came by. Mary fed him, and he decided to stay. His name was Audrey. Billy sat in silence with her for most of the night, making their travel quite uneasy. Billy, dost thou believe we will arrive in time?" she asked after a bit as he shined his cloister's shell. "I hope we do," he responded. Silence again. "Hast thou no thoughts on the matter?" Mary asked. If we do not stop Cyrus, I fear this lovely world will suffer for it, he sighed. As hard as it is sometimes, we must work together to end this. Hard? Mary repeated. We have worked together so much over the course of our journeys. I have found no hardship in doing so. Thou might not, but I have, Billy said, shining Cloister's shell a little bit more. Mary swallowed hard. I know thou hast never liked me after what happened with thy sisters, but 'tis not the fault of mine. You remember? Mary stammered. Seems that every badge thou hast collected unlocks more of my memory. I'm sorry I hurt thy family, Mary, but I did love Sarah. My mistake came when I kissed Winifred in the graveyard. It was a dare. I never should have done it, and for that I am truly sorry. I did not expect to fall in love with Sarah, but I did. She does have that effect on people, Mary said with a slight chuckle. Yes, she does. I know thou hast always been more in favor of Winifred, but Sarah matters too. She was lonely. I had a stigma around my head after the kiss. We just connected. Please understand that, Billy explained. Mary wiped a tear from her eye as guilt began to settle in her stomach. I understand, Billy. I am sorry for the tension between us. Winifred has had a rather difficult life, so I always tried to make her feel worthy, Mary admitted. Her difficult life was no more or less difficult than thy life or Sarah's, he pointed out. Thy family went through the difficult times as a family. None of thy lives were more or less hard than the other. Mary had never thought about it that way. While Winifred had been charged with raising her sisters, Mary was raising Winifred and Sarah in her own way, too. She was just as much of an outcast as Winifred was. Their lives were all intertwined, facing the same hardships, and in the end, in the pursuit of power, Mary and Sarah had died for Winifred. Was it so bad that Billy had chosen Sarah over Winifred? He could have offered her a better life. Would that have been so terrible? No, but she interfered, only thinking of Winifred. Billy, let's work together to defeat Team Galactic. Save this world and start over as friends, Mary said. Billy gave her a nod. Agreed. They slept with their Pokemon comfortably, then kept hiking the next day. The closer they got to the peak, the colder and snowier it became. A Vaporeon was freezing in the snow, so Mary quickly caught her, named her Amphitrite, and sent her to the meadow to recover. Mary saw Billy shivering, covered him with her cloak, and smiled kindly. He gave her a nod and smile in return. After 2 more days of hiking, they reached the peak, Spear Pillar. Cyrus was already beginning to use his red chain. They'd been too late. A portal was beginning to open. We must hurry! Billy shouted over the noise. Not so fast. You have to get through us first. It was Mars and Jupiter. Together, Mary said. Zilla, go! Typhoon, get 'em! Billy sent in his Wartortle. Mars and Jupiter sent in Drowsy and Dratini. Zilla went for Dratini and Typhoon went for Drowsy. Together they defeated their foes. Sandslash, Chadot, and Pseudo-Wudo all fell to this mighty team-up. Mary saw the portal ripping open as more grunts started to run at the pair of trainers. Go! Stop Cyrus! I'll handle these clowns! Billy said. Mary ran for the portal. Stop right there, Cyrus growled lowly. Mary stood defiantly. You have interfered for the last time. What drives you to stop me so? Emotions, she replied. I cannot let thee destroy them. Negative emotions hurt, but they give birth to so many wonderful feelings. Without both, we are no more than animals. Humans experience feelings. We feel. Thou desirest a world where everyone is a cold, unfeeling puppet? Why? That would make the world perfect. There would be no war, no anger, no hatred, no sadness. Everyone would feel the same. All negativity erased. It would mean peace forever. No need for Pokemon battles, no need for discourse. I'll be a hero, a savior. Cyrus let out a prideful laugh. His icy eyes narrowed into Mary's soul as he pulled a Pokeball from his belt. And now you will feel my wrath during the last battle of this world. Go, Vaporeon! Zilla, attack! Mary knew this battle was meant for Zilla. Cyrus had taunted them about him being a false legend. It was time to prove he was wrong. Spatial Rend! Vaporeon's health went down by half. It used Aqua Ring for slow health restoration, then took another spatial rend. Mary saw how strong this Pokemon was, but she knew Zilla was stronger. Dragon Claw! She commanded. Zilla struck and knocked it out. Cyrus sent in an Altaria. Zilla struck again with Dragon Claw, and it hit the ground immediately. What else have you got? Plus'll electrocute this beast! A small electric type came in. Dragon Claw before it can move, Zilla, Mary commanded. Zilla struck down another foe. Yanmega, destroy! Cyrus was getting desperate. His bug type was very fast, but Zilla stood firm, locked eyes with Mary, and they nodded to each other. It's over, Cyrus. You've lost. You want your world? Then you shall have it. Zilla, ruler of space, use Spatial Rend! Zilla let out a loud roar, charged his attack, and struck hard. Yanmega fell, Cyrus's Pokeballs dropped to the earth, and the sheer force threw him backwards into the portal. With a loud scream, the portal swallowed Cyrus. Pearl, use Spike Cannon! Destroy the red chain! Billy commanded. His cloister launched spikes into the chain links and shattered them into pieces. Jupiter and Mars screamed for their boss, and in a flash, he was gone forever. Behind them, the police were arriving, but when the portal had vanished, in its place was a strange-looking Pokemon. Its energy began making the space in the area distort. Mary pulled out her Pokedex. Deoxys, the virus Pokemon. This Pokemon evolved from a virus in the cosmos when exposed to the force of Rayquaza. Its body and powers have the ability to transform spatial rifts, it said. Mary, catch! Billy threw her a Master Ball. I picked it up in the Galactic Warehouse. Catch that Deoxys! Master Ball, go! Mary threw the Master Ball and click! Deoxys has been registered to your Pokedex. This Deoxys is a prankster once owned by Sarah Sanderson, who named it Roadrunner. Mary clutched the Pokeball proudly, turned and walked to Billy as Team Galactic was rounded up. She placed the Pokeball in his hand, and he looked at her confused. I want you to have Roadrunner, she smiled. Me? Why? He asked in confusion. It was Sarah's. I think it will be happier with thee, she said. He held the Master Ball close to his chest, then tossed it, sending Roadrunner out. Thank thee. I will take good care of my new friend, Billy promised. Roadrunner wrapped its tentacles around his torso. See you at the Pokemon League, Mary. Get that last badge and restore the rest of my memories. Roadrunner took off into the sky with Billy, and they set off for another piece of their journey. Mary watched them go, then looked at Zilla with a smile. He laid down on his back, stuck out his tongue in a pant, and wagged his tail. Mary started rubbing his tummy as he had earned all of it. There was no false legend here, only a wonderful legendary Palkia who had restored his confidence in himself. Mary smooched his face, and he gave her whole torso a lick. They camped out on Spear Pillar that night and watched the stars fill the sky. Her entire team cuddled under the starlight. It was absolutely amazing. Zilla looked up at them almost longingly. Mary watched him and ushered everyone to sit up. He looked at her in confusion, but she smiled softly. "'Tis all right, Zilla. Go. Thou hast restored thy full power, and taught me much. I experienced loss. Thou hast gone through hardship as I have. Go back to the domain you belong in. We will be all right," she encouraged him. She hugged his face, and he nuzzled her side. "I love you, sweetheart. I'll miss thee." Zilla got hugs from everyone, then he took off into the sky. Mary watched her sweet friend fly for the heavens and smiled the entire time. Once he was out of sight, she laid back down, this time Kirishima acting as her pillow. Mary fell asleep with her arm draped over Cabby, Cyanide at her back, Draco and Nani sleeping on top of Kirishima. Mary had been asleep for a couple of hours when she heard a familiar noise from overhead. Mary shook herself awake, rubbed the sleep from her eyes, and looked up. She saw something coming closer. It was Zilla! Mary couldn't believe it when he landed back with the group. "Thou hast returned? But do you not wish to go back to thy realm?" Zilla shook his head and nuzzled her side. She hugged him and smiled. "Then we'll keep going together." The next morning they checked on all of the lakes to make sure the Mirage Trio were safe, catching Danny the Tauros at Lake Valor. They landed on the route to Sunny Shore City, and Mary caught an Empoleon named Rocco. Now it was time to prepare for the final gym. And now, previously on episode 13. It took 2 weeks for Mary to train her team for the final gym. This was a very important battle. She had to get this badge to make it to the league. Everyone put in a lot of work, Zilla especially. He was determined to show how far he'd come since being caught all those weeks ago. Cyanide did amazing work at coaching her teammates with Mary's help. Her speed made her the perfect sparring partner. Nani learned Leaf Storm during this time, increasing her power by leaps. Draco learned Air Slash while sparring with Cyanide. This was a much better attack than Air Cutter. Cabby kept Mary company when she wasn't training. She wasn't as stressed, as she knew she would be going home with Mary no matter what. She could, however, tell Mary couldn't handle being there much longer. Kirishima kept spirits up with his fun personality while he was building up his defenses. As they were training, she was allowed to catch a Houndoom named Kerberos. Mary couldn't be prouder of this team, but her thoughts dwelled on the team she had lost the day she began this new journey. She couldn't help wondering what might have been had they survived that encounter with Garchomp. Could she have been finished already? Would she have bonded as closely with them as she had this team? Could she have had better luck? As she was thinking about them, she screeched from a sudden tongue touch. Zilla was licking her. "Oh, Zilla, thou nearly scared me to life," Mary chuckled, putting a hand over her heaving chest. Zilla smiled at her brightly. She knew at least that she was glad to have met him. "All right, everyone, confabulate." Her 6 team members gathered around her, sitting in the grass. Daisy had been sent to the meadow before she set out for Snow Point. "Tomorrow we face the final gym in this region. From there, if we win, we will journey to the Pokemon League. I know that all of thee are strong, fierce, loving companions. I trust each of you to do your best, and I promise to call my orders precisely. We can do this together." Everyone cheered, and the next day was upon them quicker than they imagined. Mary caught Delia the Mr. Mime on her way to her battle. "Ugh, another challenger. You've got to be kidding me. I was about to close up and go to the league," the gym leader grumbled. "Fine. I'm Volkner, the Sunny Shore gym leader. I'm bored of you subpar trainers, so can we just get this over with? My electric Pokemon are taking a sauna, so you're getting my secondary team and you'll like it." "I think thou shalt find my Pokemon to be anything but a bore," Mary said confidently. "Sure, whatever. Regice, get this battle started and finished." Volkner sent in a legendary Titan. Mary scoffed. "Zilla, prepare for battle." Mary sent in her Palkia, who roared with pride. Volkner's eyes widened and a grin spread across his face. "Oh, now that's more like it! Regice superpower," he ordered. "Dragon Claw, Zilla!" The 2 Titans clashed, but a drawback of Regice's superpower was that its defense stat dropped with every use. Mary had taken this into account. Zilla was a special attacker, but his Dragon Claw move was physical. It took 2 shots from him before Regice fell. Volkner was impressed as he sent in his Politoed. Mary switched Zilla out with Nani. Politoed tried to hit her with a bounce attack, but Mary called for Nani to dodge, and the Blossom did so swiftly. Her training with Cyanide was paying off. She blasted Politoed with Stun Spore, paralyzing it. Mary called for Magical Leaf as Politoed used Perish Song. Nani blasted it down to red as she was put under the spell of Perish Song. Mary had 3 turns to take this thing out or lose Nani. "Magical Leaf again, quickly!" she commanded. Nani struck down Politoed, and Mary quickly withdrew her to get rid of the spell. She brought in Nani's best friend Draco, as Volkner sent in Cacnea. Cacnea struck with Payback, then Draco knocked it out with Fly. Volkner looked both devastated and ready to burst from excitement at the same time as he sent in his last Pokemon, Love Disc. Mary and Draco exchanged positive glances. 2 fly attacks and an air slash was all it took for Draco to take down the foe. He'd barely gotten a scratch on him. Mary cheered for her 3 Pokemon as Volkner stared at her in surprise. He grabbed a badge, then walked over to her. "That was the best battle I've had in years. You open with Palkia, then follow with the strongest Blossom and Crobat I've ever met. Had I faced you with my electric team, I have a feeling we still would have lost. You have earned the Beacon Badge and restored my faith in the trainers of Sinnoh." Volkner presented Mary with her final badge. She pinned it to her cloak with a smile.
I have high hopes for you in the Pokemon League. Give 'em a show."
"We will, I can promise you that," Mary said. They slept cozy under the stars that night against or on top of Zilla. Mary was so pleased with her Pokemon, and she hoped her 5 originals were proud too. They set out the next day, catching Ramune the Jumpluff on the way to Victory Road. At nightfall, they made it to the mouth of Victory Road. Mary caught Vixie the Ninetails outside, and after walking into Victory Road, she caught Tantor the Phanpy. Victory Road was their final challenge before the League, and Mary was ready to take it head on. And now, the finale. Previously on the finale of Mary Sanderson Plays Pokemon Pearl Randomized Nuzlocke. Victory Road was long and grueling, requiring a couple of overnight stays for Mary and her team. They took as many opportunities to train as they could. Her team had grown very powerful, but she still considered returning to Canalave City to make their movesets perfect. This had been the hardest trial she had ever experienced, and she planned to make it through the League without anyone dying. By the time they reached the end of Victory Road, she made it at the last moment to sign up for the League tournament. "I see you finally made it, Mary," said a voice from behind. She turned and saw Billy standing behind her. "Good. I've been wanting to catch up. Rest your team and meet me on the practice field for a battle." Mary did as he requested, finding his tone had shifted since they last met. He sounded much colder, distant, almost angry. Something told her he might have remembered everything. When they stood across from each other on the battlefield, his eyes pierced her like knives. "Sumo, begin the battle," he sent in his Makuhita. "Draco, take flight!" Mary called in her Crobat. "Do you know why I asked you to do this?" Billy asked her. "I do not. You sure? You sure you don't know why I want to battle you right at the precipice of your journey's completion?" "Sumo, use Endure." "Draco, Air Slash!" Mary called as Makuhita braced itself. Draco struck, but Sumo survived. "What are you getting at, Billy?" "Draco, Air Slash again!" "Endure," Billy called. "What I'm getting at is what you did to me." "I did nothing to you," Mary said as Draco knocked out Sumo. "Glacier, come out!" Billy sent in a Regice. Mary called back Draco and sent in Zilla. "You know what you did, Mary. Admit it. Ancient power, Glacier." "Zilla, Dragon Pulse!" Mary called. She knew. Zilla took a hit, but retaliated with enough power to knock Regice into half. "What do you want me to say, Billy? Zilla, Dragon Pulse again! Glacier, Ancient Power!" The two titans collided again. "Admit it out loud. Admit to your crime." "Dragon Claw, Zilla, finish it!" Zilla knocked out the legendary. Billy sent in his Vaporeon and she switched to Nani. "Mega Drain!" Nani and Aqua exchanged a few blows before Aqua fell. Billy sent in his starter, Pearl the Cloyster. Mary cautiously switched to Cyanide. She had yet to speak, which made Billy angrier by the second. Cyanide struck with Rock Smash, then took a few hits from Spike Cannon. Mary had her hit again, but Pearl protected herself. When Cyanide saved up enough energy from Spike Cannon, she struck with Revenge and knocked it out. Billy sent in Absol, glaring daggers at her. "Rock Smash, Cyanide!" Absol sustained a ton of damage. "Future Sight, then Detect, Scythe!" Billy commanded. The combination caused Mary to switch to Cabby to take the Future Sight attack. "Coward." "Pardon?" Mary asked. Billy switched into his Machop, so Mary switched to Draco. "You're a coward! You're too scared to admit to my face that my death was your fault," Billy shouted. "Air Slash!" Mary ordered, and Draco knocked out the opponent. Scythe returned to the field. Mary bit her lip, then looked him in the eyes. "Thy death was my fault," she said. "I knew about you and Sarah. I believed thou hadst sported with her. I told Winifred of thy unfaithfulness. I told her that thou wert a cheat. 'Twas my idea to punish thee for thy mistakes." "Mistakes? I never loved Winifred. I only kissed her on a dare from my friends. She took it too far. When I met Sarah all those years later, we fell in love. I loved her. You chose Winifred's side over Sarah's happiness. I died because of you, and she lost her one chance at a better life because of you, Mary Sanderson. Because of you. Draco, finish this battle with Air Slash." Draco struck, and Billy's last Pokemon fell. He returned it to its ball, then hit the ground on his knees. Mary walked over to him, knelt down, and hung her head. Had I known then what I know now, I never would have done that to thee. Had I known the two of you were truly in love, I would have let her go. No, you wouldn't have, Billy said darkly. If you'd found out that I kissed your beloved Winifred on a dare, you would have done the same thing to punish me for that. Mary, you always cared more about Winifred than Sarah. I know it's not your fault because she was the head of your family and she'd been through a lot, but you could have let Sarah go so she could have been happy. Yet you didn't. Sarah did as many terrible things as you two did. I know that. But she was willing to give up everything to be with me. I know she was. If you learn anything from this journey, I hope it's that you spread your care equally among your sisters. I'm sorry, Billy. I'm so sorry. For everything. You're right about me. I would have still made the same choice. I'm sorry, she said, tears falling from her eyes. Get back to Sarah and tell her the truth. We might be even then, he told her, then got to his feet. He did not help her up. He simply walked away. Mary watched Billy leave her there, and after he was gone, she broke down into a fit of hard sobs. He was right about everything, right about her. She would have still ratted them out because she devoted everything to keeping Winifred happy. She believed it was to keep peace in the family, but in trying to keep Winifred appeased, she neglected her little sister. That was the rawest truth she had ever heard, and it shattered her to the core. She loved Sarah, she really did, but she never showed it directly. She had taken away Sarah's chance for love and a good life, all because Winifred had been hurt by Billy Butcherson. Her confidence broke, her need to finish the trial vanished, and all she wanted to do was disappear forever as payment for what she had done. Suddenly, she felt a lick on her cheek and a large head nuzzle her back. She looked and saw Cabby staring at her from the side. When she looked all the way up, she saw Zilla gazing down at her longingly. Cabby whined and gently tucked her head under Mary's chin. Mary grabbed hold of her and sobbed into her fur. Zilla sat down with a loud thud and picked up both of them, setting them in his lap, where he gently hugged them with his hands. We have come this far, Mary. We have to finish, Cabby's eyes told her. Sarah needs to know the truth, no matter how much it hurts you both. I don't like it when you're sad, small friend. Zilla's eyes blinked at her. I want to finish this with you and make you smile again. More Pokeballs opened. We started this journey together, and we will end it together, Cyanide communicated. You're a beautiful blossoming trainer no matter what, Nani smiled. Your friendship means everything to me, Draco flapped. My old trainer was right to send me to you. She's watching out for you, and so am I. Kirishima squeezed her tightly around the shoulders. Okay, everyone. I'll keep going for you. I'll make things right. I swear. Mary was held close by all of her Pokemon. She intended to keep her promise, but the Pokemon League proved to be tougher than she expected. Welcome, Challenger! My name is Aaron, and I will be your first opponent today. As the first Elite Four member introduced himself, she felt a horrible chill shoot up her spine. Oh no, she thought, as Aaron sent in Trapinch. Nani, I'm counting on thee! Her Blossom started strong by taking Trapinch down with one magical leaf when Glalie came in. Mary switched to Cyanide, who took her fighting stance. She took damage from an Ice Beam attack, then prepared to strike with revenge on the next move. Glalie was hit hard as it set up Hail to do extra damage to its opponents at the end of each turn. Mary called for Cyanide to brace herself and charge up the revenge attack again as Aaron called for Ice Beam. However, as Ice Beam blasted, Mary's blood ran cold. Cyanide was struck in the chest at critical power, blasted into a wall, and fell to the floor, dead. A scream left her throat before she even knew she'd done it. Mary ran to Cyanide's side as Cabby burst from her ball, growling ferociously. Aaron barely batted an eye as if he knew this was a possibility. Mary cradled her Toxicroak, her earliest companion whom she'd lost once before. She promised herself she would never let it happen again, but it did. She cried for a moment before her pain turned into blinding rage. Cabby was connected to her emotions, and both of them growled angrily at once. Cabby, end that monster with Night Slash! Glalie rushed forward and used Crunch on Cabby's tail, but the enraged Mightyena swung it into the air, pounced, and slashed with her razor-like claws to end that fight. Aaron sent in Anareth and Mary called in her Palkia, who roared savagely as he saw the tears on Mary's cheeks, cyanide in her arms. Anareth used Slash. Zilla barely felt it, then glared at his opponent. "You surf," Mary growled. Her Palkia let loose a torrent and the bug rock type fainted. Aaron's Geodude met the same fate. Zilla stomped his feet as Teddy Ursa came in and fell to Dragon Pulse. Mary called him back and proceeded to the next chamber with hardly a word. The Elite Four member known as Bertha was much less challenging. Zilla took out her Golem, Pineco, Aerodactyl, and Sentret. Cabby took care of her Slowking, and they were sent onwards. "Howdy, I'm Flint. Good job making it this far. Let's see how you do against my team." His first Pokemon was an Arcanine. "Kirishima, battle stations!" Kirishima pounded his rocky fists together as he entered the field. "Earthquake!" Kirishima pounded the earth with his mighty legs, causing the entire arena to shake. Arcanine was damaged heavily, but its Intimidate had weakened Kirishima's attack strength enough to save itself. Arcanine hit him with extreme speed, but it barely tickled the rocky behemoth. He struck once more with Earthquake and knocked out his foe. Scizor proved bulkier and faster, but Kirishima pulled off the win with Earthquake. Magnemite fell in the same manner, but when Feraligatr came in, it was time for Kirishima to swap out with Nani. Nani put her fists up and began exchanging blows with the water type. Both trainers had to heal at one point, with Nani eventually overcoming the beast. The last Pokemon was a fire and fighting type called Blaziken. Mary sent in Draco as he had the type advantage. Draco took a lot of damage from Blaziken's Brave Bird, but outsped and struck hard with Air Slash. Suddenly, Mary felt her body freeze again as Flint called for Blaze Kick. Blaziken launched itself, kicked with its fiery talon at critical power, then sent Draco smashing to the ground, dead. Mary looked at the Crobat at her feet, fell to her knees, and wept over him. Zilla broke out of his ball, roared, and took Blaziken out with one attack. Nani burst from her ball, saw her best friend dead in her trainer's arms, and wept loudly. She clung to Draco for a long time before Mary put everyone back in their Pokeballs. She passed Flint without a word and walked into the next room. Here she met Lucian, the final Elite Four. Her sorrow and anger were at boiling point now, so she intended to get her frustrations out here. Her final 4 Pokemon were each responsible for knocking out his Tailo, Meganium, Gulpin, Quagsire, and Shieldon. Mary had nothing to say as he congratulated her. The pain was too much. When she entered the champion's chamber, she met up with Cynthia. "I'm so glad you made it this far, Mary. I've been keeping up with your escapades since Professor Rowan gave you Seadra. You're a remarkable trainer, though it's a pity you've only 4 Pokemon to face me with." "Pity me not, champion. I will give you a fight you'll never forget," Mary snarled. "I expect nothing less from a Sanderson. Let's see if you can live up to your little sister's skills. Mind you, she never lost a single Pokemon for good on her journey," Cynthia revealed, and Mary's eyes widened. "Again? Sarah has managed such a feat twice now?" she thought to herself as Cynthia brought in her first Pokemon, Anorith. Mary sent in Zilla, whose surf attack washed it away. "Good job! But we'll see how you do facing this. Go, Groudon!" Cynthia's legendary Pokemon roared onto the scene. "All right. Titan versus Titan it shall be. Zilla, attack!" Mary ordered, and Zilla roared fiercely. "With Groudon's drought ability, your Palkia's water moves are rendered useless," Cynthia reminded her. "We don't need water moves to beat you," Mary stated. "Zilla, Spatial Rend!" Groudon took damage equal to half of its health, but Cynthia smirked. Mary's entire body went cold. "No, not again," she muttered. "Not him. Not my boy. Groudon, Fissure attack!" Mary watched in horror as Fissure, a move with extremely low accuracy, executed flawlessly from the well-trained Groudon. Fissure was a move that killed its target instantly. Mary watched helplessly in horror as her companion, her best friend out here, her sweet, shy legend, fell backwards onto the ground, his face looking up at her with empty eyes. The sound that came out of her was not human. It was the sound of pure, unfiltered grief. She fell down by his head, crying the hardest she'd cried since her Jirachi bilious fell in battle 2 years ago. Mary caressed his face and begged the universe to let this not be true. She hugged him around the neck, weeping. Cynthia cleared her throat. "Do you forfeit, or will you keep battling? You only have seconds to choose before it's called a surrender," she said, a clock ticking down on the screen above them. Mary locked eyes with the champion, her vision blurred by tears. "The choice is yours." Before the word surrender left Mary's lips, Nani burst onto the field. She glowed in the sunlight, her eyes burning with fire. Nani had lost her best friend, her training coach, and now the most precious member of the team. She looked at Mary, radiating with solar energy, and her trainer knew what needed to be done. She returned Zilla's body to his ball, rose to her feet, and clenched her fist. "We continue," she growled, and Nani stood strongly. "Then make a move." "Nani! Leaf storm with everything in your body!" Mary shouted. Nani, fueled by the sunlight and anger, conjured a leaf storm that exploded across the field and surrounded Groudon. Cynthia tried to guide him out, but when the leaves cleared, Groudon had fallen. Nani's special attack dropped drastically, so Mary called her back and sent in Cabby. Cabby snarled protectively as she stood in front of her trainer. Cynthia was stunned upon seeing the power that little Blossom had wielded. "Make a move, Cynthia," Mary said threateningly. "Pelipper, come out!" Cynthia sent in a water and flying type. Now she was at a disadvantage from the sun. "Hydro pump!" Mary chose to whittle the Pelipper down by heel stalling with Cabby, who was taking hit after hit from Hydro Pump. She also intermittently had Cabby boost her attack with Howl. Once Pelipper ran out of Hydro Pumps, it was time to attack. "Cabby, Night Slash!" Cabby rushed forward and struck, plunging Pelipper into red. Cynthia had no choice but to heal, only for Cabby to strike again with a snarl. This time Pelipper fell. Politoed was next, and it used Perish Song immediately, putting Cabby's life on a 3-turn timer. Mary refused to let the Pokemon, who had been her partner for 4 years now, die. She went to switch, but Cabby barked at her. She could do it. Cabby struck with Night Slash, and Cynthia healed again. Mary didn't like this, but Cabby gave her a confident nod. She nodded back. "Night Slash again!" Cabby charged, practically roared, and brought down Politoed in one slash of her claws. She howled over the fainted Pokemon. Cynthia sent in Nuzleaf, and Mary had no choice but to call Cabby back before Perish Song could do any harm. She sent Nani back in, as she had taught her a special move for moments like this. Aurora Beam. Nuzleaf struck with Razor Wind, but Nani blew it off as if it had tickled. She retaliated with her ice move, Aurora Beam, and plunged Nuzleaf into yellow. It ate the citrus berry it held, then went back into green. Nani shrugged off extra sensory, then plunged Nuzleaf into red with Aurora Beam. Mary took no chances and healed her for the next turn, and Cynthia did the same. The two grass types were neck and neck, exchanging blows, but after one final attack from Nuzleaf, Nani powered up. "Aurora Beam, full power!" Nani blasted the attack and Nuzleaf fell. Nani breathed heavily. Cynthia's last Pokemon was Bastiodon, and it used the move Block to prevent Mary from switching into Kirishima like she had planned. Mary healed Nani, and they exchanged nods. Mary used an X special to boost Nani's special attack stat. Her first Leaf Storm missed, but Bastiodon used Endure to survive the second one. The move badly damaged Nani's special attack, but she was trapped in. They whittled away Bastiodon's health with Magical Leaf, Nani taking damage from her opponent. Both Pokemon breathed heavily as they made their final moves. Nani was faster. "Finish it, Nani! Magical Leaf!" Mary's Blossom struck one final time, and Bastiodon fell. Mary dropped to her knees, sweat soaking her entire body as Nani stumbled over to her and fell into her arms. Mary hugged her tight to her chest and kissed her on the head. Without Nani, they would have lost the battle. In that instant, light burst from her other 5 Pokeballs, and out came her entire team, restored to life. The Pokemon from her meadow appeared, all the dead risen again. She hugged each and every one of them personally before being ushered into the Hall of Fame. There on the wall, she saw a photo of a beaming Sarah with her team. Linoon, Gorbis, Venusaur, Hariyama, Mawile, and Giratina. Mary's jaw dropped when she saw a Giratina in the photo. Mary's team was then immortalized in a photo as well. Cynthia left her to be with her Pokemon when her Pokedex beeped. Your trial has ended. You may only take one Pokemon besides Mightyena back with you, it informed her. Mary sniffed, knowing this was going to be a very hard decision. She loved all of her team, and Genu. She wanted to take Cyanide and Zilla to show Sarah her old friends. She wanted to take Nani because she had saved everyone at the end, but Nani would never leave without Draco. She wanted to take Kirishima since he was gifted to her by someone who cared about her, though she did not know who. She wanted to take Genu since he had been so supportive from the start. Mary paced for a long while her Pokemon huddled up themselves and talked. She felt a tug on her skirt and saw Nani smiling up at her. She said something to the Pokédex. Of course, Bellossom wants me to translate, it explained. While Nani talked, the Dex translated. We all love you, Mary. You are the best trainer we could have asked for, so we will make the choice for you. Draco and I are going to stay to protect Eterna Forest. Cyanide intends to join up with the gym leader in Veilstone City to become stronger. Genu wants to sail the seas of Sinnoh with the other water types. Kirishima plans to return to his old trainer now that he safely guided you to the end, as was his duty. Zilla was brought here from another dimension. Another Palkia lives in this space. He loves you very much, Mary, and will be going home with you. Zilla walked to her side and nuzzled her shoulder lovingly. We will all be okay, and we will never forget you. We love you, Mary. All of her Pokemon cheered for her and squeezed her in a huge group hug. She was so grateful to all of them. She hugged everyone individually, giving them words of love and encouragement. They meant everything to her. Once goodbyes were said, Zilla shrunk a bit in size to make his life in Purgatory more comfortable. She had nothing left to say. Nani had said it all. Zilla, Cabby, and Mary were lifted into the air and turned to dust slowly until they were gone. Mary felt something poking her and calling her name while she tried to sleep. Eventually, she woke up to see her Jirachi sitting on her chest with a big grin on his face. Mary sat up and immediately hugged him. Oh, Bilious, my sweet boy, she sniffed. Billy missed Mary so much. Billy is glad to be awake again. So are Billy's friends, but they have all gone to the barn to meet Sarah's new friends. Where is Billy's new friend? Her Jirachi asked. Mary looked around the room, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. Zilla was asleep on the floor, sucking his thumb, curled up in a ball. Mary pointed at him. Another legend like Billy! Yay! Billy floated down on top of Zilla's head and began poking at his nose. Cabby yawned from the foot of the bed and Mary stroked her. Zilla was practically snoring. Wake up, new friend, wake up, Billy begged. Wake up! His name is Zilla, Mary told him. Zilla, wake up. Billy wants to meet Zilla. Billy tickled his nose and Zilla sneezed, waking himself up. Yay! Zilla is awake! Hi, Zilla! My name is Bilious, but Zilla can call Bilious Billy. Zilla looked from the tiny mythical to Mary and back again a couple of times. Mary laughed. Zilla sat up and Billy floated in front of him. He patted the small Pokemon on the head gently. Billy sat down on his head and they smiled at each other. Zilla, would you like to meet your new friends? Mary asked as her dragon yawned. Do you want to see Sarah? At this, Zilla perked up and got to his feet. Mary opened the door and Zilla thundered down the stairs. Mary ran down behind him and hurried to the barn door. When she opened it, she saw 5 new Pokemon, 1 new legend, and her little sister brushing her Glaceon's fur. Zilla gasped and ran over to her, grabbing her from behind and lifting her from her seat. Carlos jumped down as Sarah shrieked. What's going on? She gasped, then looked up at the smiling dragon type. Hello. Sister, Mary said, and Sarah beamed upon seeing her. You might remember him from your Johto journey. Zilla? Sarah exclaimed. Zilla bayed and licked her face. I cannot believe it is thee! Mary, was he on thy team? He was, and the sweetest one, too, Mary told her. Brutus, Skipper, and Kovu bounded to their trainer and showed her affection. I missed you boys. Kovu licked Cabby and they cuddled each other. How hast thou now found two of my old friends? Sarah asked as Zilla let go of her. Just lucky, I guess, Mary said, and the sisters embraced each other. I saw where thou hast completed another trial without loss. I am so proud of thee. 'Twas because of my wonderful team. I too brought home a legend this time. Snuggles is my Giratina, Sarah said excitedly. Now I have one just like you and Winnie. You have done so well. Thou art a better trainer than I could ever hope to be, Mary admitted. Nay, I am doing my best to live up to thee, Sarah told her. That's when Mary's stomach knotted up. Sarah, sister, we must talk. Mary and Sarah sat down, each with a Pokemon at their side. Mary asked Sarah if she had seen Billy on her journey. Sarah told Mary everything, speaking about him so highly. She was honest about how much she loved him, every word making Mary feel worse and worse about what she had to say. When Sarah finished, she had light tears dripping from her eyes. Mary took a deep breath and told her the truth. She told her how Winifred found out about them, that it was her fault. Over and over, she said it was her fault. Not even halfway through, she was crying as she confessed what she took from Sarah. When she finished, Sarah stood up and paced for a moment, letting everything sink in. Mary kept her gaze downward, ruffling Cabby's fur between her fingers. She was ready to be yelled at, to be hit, to be cursed. She deserved it. So it came as a surprise when Sarah hugged her from behind and pressed her cheek against Mary's. You didn't mean to hurt me. I do not know if I would have gone with Billy even though I loved him. I could have left after his death from the anger, but I stayed because I love you both more than you really know. I know I can be difficult, but I do love you, and I think secretly you did not want me to leave either, Sarah said, sniffling. Mary hugged her little sister's arms. I love you, Sarah, and I am so sorry. I know. I forgive you, Sarah replied. As the sisters reconciled in the cottage, their eldest sister was beginning her journey. The note on the door read, Mary Sanderson passed, came to terms with her demons. Winifred Sanderson, trial commencing. The end.